guys, and welcome back to our channel, Retired and Loving It. We're still limited as to where we can go to film because of COVID-19, so we're sharing some more hometown places with you today. My name is Terry.
And my name is Keith, and we are so excited today that behind us you can see Zimmerman Art Glass. You'll be surprised at all the demonstrations, all the artwork, and the time it takes to make these very valuable pieces of art.
This has been passed on from generation to generation in the Zimmerman family, and we're very fortunate and blessed to have it here in our hometown. Enjoy. Here is a brief tour through the Zimmerman Art Glass gift shop. Their work is so beautiful and absolutely amazing. There are photos all throughout the gift shop showing some of the history of Zimmerman Art Glass.
We've over the years now, I kind of standing on some strong shoulders there because my grandfather and those guys, I heard stories where there'd be 2 weeks at a time, before they'd even see anybody. We originally wanted to be like a wholesale guy, or they wanted to do mostly retail. We do mostly just retail right now. Now when I started with my dad, they had accounts that people would come in and, take it and resell it. We still have a few, not on these iron rods. So you got to get that end hot, so that allows the hot clear glass to stick to it. So back in that furnace back there is where we keep all that hot molten glass. And I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna gather some up on the rod, and I'll bring it back and I'll show it to y'all. I think I can look at the website. I can share that and say, that's hot clear glass right there. It looks orange, but it's actually just crystal clear, no color at all. Comes out there at about 2100 degrees, and that's why it's orange. So I'm going to go ahead and take it, add a little color to it. So I've got some little, like we call it water blue here. It is broken up chips of colored glass. We're going to add that to it. And those little pieces, they'll stick right to it. Now I'll melt that colored glass and clear glass together. And this is kind of a barrel furnace, which it's probably pretty close to the 2200 degrees right now. Once I get all that color and that clear glass melted together, then I'm going to use some of the different tools that I have. And I'm going to start out with making a little flower design out of that color glass I'm picking up. So we'll add a little bit more color because that's a pretty transparent color. Like I said, we don't make the colored glass here. We don't have quite the facility. So we have different suppliers that we get those from. And there's not a whole lot in the United States, but the oldest one that makes colored glass is up in Kokomo, Indiana, northern Indiana. The factory up there, they do big sheets of stained glass, colored glass and stained glass workers. But they've been there 132 years, I think. The raw materials, probably about over 2300 degrees. So I'm going to make that little flower design. Alright, so this being a small piece, I've only got about maybe 25 or 30 seconds to work with it before that glass is going to reach that temperature where it's going to start to become real stiff and hard. When that happens, then I have to just stick it back in there and get it hot again, and then that'll keep it soft so we can work with it. So here, let me show you. Remember how soft it was when we had that color a second ago, and now it's already hard. So, but a little piece like that, it loses its heat quick, but it gets it back pretty quick. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this flower by pulling out each one of these petals.
You don't see that blue very much.
No, it's got a lot of heat to it. Plus, like I said, it's a pretty transparent color. But the more it cools, and that's kind of how you can read the heat on it. It's not so much the color, but movement of the glass. So that glass is starting to get pretty stiff, and you'll see that color starting to come back a little bit more. Now, if you put that, if I put white on that first, then put that blue over top of that white glass, and it really stands out. But it's just a kind of a tint of it right now. So I'm going to take it here in a second, like I said. So we've got the flower made for the background design. So I'm going to take the middle layer of clear glass over that. When I put more clear around there, that's going to trap this flower on the inside. That's how all the colors and the designs, just like get on the inside. Everything that we make in here is just built up in the layers of that clear glass. I'm helping to cool down like the very outer edge of it, the outer surface of it. That kind of gets it under control, so I can work with it some. Now this particular piece, it's going to sit like on a little pedestal or a foot. So I'm going to take just a second and cut that into there. Start to shape that. Now we've also got to be able to get it off the rod when it's finished. So I'm going to take just above the head of that iron rod, I'm going to take and cut another little thin line. What that is, that's just going to be a stress point or a weak spot in the glass. And all that's for is, like I said, whenever I'm finished with this piece, that's where it's going to break away from the rod. Right here, we're cutting this little weak line, or thin line. My dad taught me, and I've taught all my kids, and started to teach my grandkids now. But let me just get a little heat on it, I'll bring it out, and I'll blow bubble it for you.
Where did your grandfather learn?
He started at the age of 10 years old in northern Indiana before they had child labor laws. And he was he worked in a factory, or a lamp chimney factory. They made glass globes that went on a kerosene lamp. He did that until he started this in 1942.
Those were handmade?
Yes. I'm going to put a little hole, I'll use this pick and put a small hole right down the center of it. You can see that hole go down there. And I want to round it back up so I don't lose the shape that I just had. So I've also got this little wooden stick here that's been soaking in water. But when I take this wet stick and touch to that hot glass, as soon as that moisture hits that heat, that's going to create steam. All right, and we're going to trap that steam or seal it inside that small hole. The pressure that steam is going to create is going to blow that bubble up. So keep your eye on that small hole that I just put in there.
Oh my goodness.
Now that's a true piece of hand-blown glass. I mean, that glass literally was blown by hand and not by mouth. But like I said, blowing glass is really it's all about creating pressure. And whether I'm doing that with air out of my lungs or steam off that stick, it's still about creating that pressure so you can move that glass. But I always like to do it, you can see that cavity inside there.
Wow.
So I always like to do a demonstration with that because I always say if you find a candy dish out of this, so I'm going to heat it up and I'll bring it up this next time and I'll start shaking it like that did. So I'm going to open this up. Of course, like in the shape of a cup or a bowl. Spin into a platter, and then I'll just turn it into a little candy dish after that. All right, so let's just go ahead. We'll spin it a little faster. Then we're going to go ahead and take it. We're going to put a little flute mark. Now each place I'm touching that with that metal rod, what that can do is that can create a little bit of a thermal shock there, or a quick change in temperature, because that metal wants to draw that heat out of that glass. And it being thinner there, that could cause it to crack when it's cooling down. Chances are probably not, but just as a safety precaution, I'm going to reheat that just for about 5 seconds, even out that temperature once again, and then it'll be just about finished. Use gravity if you want to make it a little deeper, or you can hold it up and make it shallower, however you want to do it. There it is. You can kind of barely see the end. So we even thin that glue just a little bit more when we glue it. But what it does is you can barely see that flour, and then you'll see it more as it cools down. And then when it comes out of the oven, it's going to have to go in another oven here in a little bit. But when it cools down, you'll be able to see it real well.
Why would you put it in another oven?
I'll get to that here in just a second. So right here, remember I told you we cut that little weak spot there, and that's where it's going to come off the rod. Well, in order to get it to come off the rod, I'm going to strike this metal pole When I hit the pole, that's going to create a vibration in the metal. So that vibration, I hit the rod and that vibration starts. It'll travel up the rod, and then when the vibration comes into contact against that weak spot, it'll hit it with enough force that it should just pop it right off the rod. Now we can also put a little drop of water on each side of it to create that thermal shock again, right on that line. And what that'll do is that'll just help it to break off too.
Wow.
I'm going to take this torch I have here. I'm going to use it to smooth off that rough area. We do about, in the springtime, we didn't this year because school was all canceled, but we do about 130 bus loads of fourth graders from around the state of Indiana, there in April, May, in about 6 weeks. I remember going through all that thing, and then I lit the torch, and all the kids went, woo! I'm like, are you kidding me?
They were impressed.
I'm like, come on, you guys, come on.
So how hot is the torch?
About, I think it's, I'm not sure. I mean, I know it's running off, it's probably about 2,500 or something.
Could have made up another color.
Yeah, I really could. I don't know either. So, we've got that, we put that stamp in there. That stamp's got our Z in it, and also it's got, that's why you always know it's made in Zimmerman Art Glass. And then it has my name in it to show that I'm the one that made it. When it cools down, we'll eventually sign and date it and all that stuff also. But, in the meantime, we're going to take it and put it in another oven. The reason being is because sitting right there, it's got thin parts and thick parts, and you do those, you've got a lot of different temperatures in it. And if it cools down at those different temperatures, that's going to put a lot of stress in it. Here in about 90 seconds, it's going to blow it apart. And so we're going to put it in another oven because we got to equalize that temperature throughout the whole thing. And so we're going to put it in another oven where it's about 900 degrees. That's this little silver box behind the name.
Here are a few of our personal Zimmerman Art Glass pieces. They are beautiful paperweights. This paperweight was signed by Kerry Zimmerman and has the Zimmerman Z and a K. This paperweight was signed by Joe Zimmerman and dated and has the Zimmerman Z. And this paperweight has the Zimmerman Z to show it was made by Zimmerman Art Glass. If you're ever in Corydon, Indiana, stop by Zimmerman Art Glass. It's well worth the visit. Thanks for joining us today. We hope to see you next time on Retired and Loving It.
Again, thank you guys so much for joining us. If you would, please press that subscribe button so other people can see our channel and get to know the history of Corydon, Indiana and Zimmerman Art Glass.